And we are live, guys. Type 1 if you can hear me nice and clear so we can get ready to get started. So just type 1 if the audio is coming through good. All right. Well, we know the speaker is working well. All right. Type 1 if you can hear me. Okay, so we have good audio. That's good to hear. Nice and good to hear. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so we know as usual, you can drop your location where you're watching the show from. We'll start around the 2 minute mark. Let some people trickle on in. Here we go. The numbers are coming in, so that's good to see. That's good to see. One, okay, everyone can hear me nice and clear, so that's good. Everyone can see me. California's in the building. That's good. Good to see California. BX Uptown. That's good. Max Mojo. That's good. Okay. So we have some people definitely tuning in. That's good to hear. That's good to see. It's good to hear. Louisville's in the building. Oh well, we'll be talking about Kentucky today. So luck for Girl 7. You can definitely chime in if you are living in Louisville, Kentucky. Cincinnati, Ohio's in the building. Okay, that's good to hear as well. Okay. All right, so some real quick housekeeping. We're going to try to keep this live stream about 35 to 45 minutes. Based upon the analytics, I know a lot of you guys, you just do not watch an hour and a half live stream all the way through. So I'm going to try to keep this live stream in the 35 to 45 minute mark. I know I say that a lot and we always go past it, but as far as the content, the information, we're going to try to keep that content condensed and really just keep it focused on the information. For those of you who missed this live stream, but you still want to support the live stream when you watch it later on, a lot of you reached out to me. My Cash App and my PayPal is in the description below if you want to contribute to the channel. If you want to get in contact with me, my email is in the description below. So if you want to reach out to me and shoot me some information or ask me any questions, my email will be in the description below. Also, my other social media platforms, as far as my Instagram and my Twitter, is in the description below. So now we can get started on the content and the information. So last week, Trump came out and he tweeted that Baltimore, which is Elijah Cummings' district in Baltimore, Elijah Cummings' district, he basically said that it's rat infested, rodent infested, crime infested, and no human would want to live there. And the knee-jerk reaction, everyone jumped out the window and said Trump is telling the truth, which he was telling the truth. And you seen the Brexit crowd, the Candace Owens, the Brandon Tatums, the CJ Pearsons, they automatically pounce on that and says, see, look, everywhere where you see a Democrat in control, you see black people in poverty, which, I mean, it's true to a certain extent, but that led me to go and start doing some digging. So I saw, you know what, let's go look at some Republican districts in some Republican states. And although I'm not surprised, what did I find? High amounts of opioid addiction and abuse, high amounts of poverty, high amounts of crime. And the guy that you see on the screen right there, this is Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is a senator out of the state of Kentucky. And he's been in power since, I think he's been in Senate since 1984, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been a senator longer than Elijah Cummings has been a congressman. And his district has, year after year, based upon what's happening with the coal industry, it's just bled jobs, high amounts of poverty. People don't properly have adequate health insurance until Obamacare was passed. And this is why I stress to you all the time, we're going to get into the information in a second, but you have to understand that race is a hustle here in America. A lot of people like to focus on, trying to hit that wound because it drives traffic. And people understand that traffic leads to dollars. So if I can come and attack Elijah Cummings and then CNN tries to make it like a racial thing, then you're going to click on their websites, which is going to drive revenue to them. Now, that's not saying that Trump is or isn't a racist. What it's saying is that you need to be you need to have your emotions in check, right? And over here, we're going to critique both sides because I said it yesterday in a video. when you look at the left wing and the right wing of politics, it's just the left and right wing of the same bird. At the end of the day, both sides of the aisle, they have racist in positions of power. They support racist policies. So you have to be more inclined and in control of your emotions when you're looking at things. Yes, Baltimore is an S-hole, but Kentucky's not that much better. And once I provide this information to you, you're going to say to yourself, yeah, poverty, yes, we are disproportionately as ADOS affected by poverty. I'm not going to dismiss that. But see, we can't be binary in our thinking. Poverty is an American issue. It's not just a black issue. And when I say that, you're automatically going to say, oh, you're cooning. No, understand, as ADOS, we're focused on making us whole as a people. But when you look throughout the country, especially in a lot of these rural Midwest and southern states, poverty is rampant as well, because what's happening is, as a country, we have been deindustrialized, and because of automation, the middle class is being hollowed out. Soon we're going to get to a point where wealth is calcified at the top. There will only be rich and poor. So poverty is an American issue. But us as ADOS, we're focusing on how it impacts us as a community. So let's get out of this whole, either you're a coon or you're not. No, we're looking at the information. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. We're not sitting up here trying to tell you don't focus on black issues. I'm not telling you not to focus on how the wealth gap disproportionately affects people of color, black people, ADOS, Africans, whatever you want to consider yourself. We're nuanced. We're nuanced over here, right? We're looking at things from a different perspective, where we're just looking at the information. What you take from this information, what you do with this information, is a personal issue, right? So now, let's get over here to the slideshow that I have prepared right now. So let's put this up, and let's get to it. Wait, first of all, let me flip the screen around. And okay, so we're there. So now, I started digging into some of these red states and starting to look at the information about these red states, because see, Trump will beat on a lot of Democrats like AOC, the whole squad, but he will not attack any of these red states that voted for him. But when you start looking at the least educated and the most dangerous, the least educated states are from 46 to 50: Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, West Virginia, and Mississippi. All 5 of those states are red states, meaning that those are Republican states that Trump carried and won in the 2016 election. When you look at the highest poverty rates, 46 through 50, Kentucky, West Virginia, New Mexico, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Those are all states, except for New Mexico, that Trump carried. So now we see they have high levels of least educated, red states, highest levels of poverty, red states except for New Mexico, most dangerous, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, New Mexico. All red states except for New Mexico. Highest share of people on food stamps in 2017, 46th through 50th, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, West Virginia, New Mexico. Most dependent on federal aid. I want you to think about this. Socialism. Because you always hear Republicans talking about, AOC's a socialist or Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Kentucky, Arizona, New Mexico, Louisiana, and Mississippi are the most dependent on federal aid. I want you to let that sink in for a minute. Because the Republicans is all about deregulation and bringing back jobs and entrepreneurship. And we just got to lift ourselves up by the bootstraps. But when you start looking at a lot of these states, they're heavily dependent on government aid, welfare, food stamps, Medicaid, etc. Most polluted states, because they rely heavily on coal, and we know that coal is extremely toxic and harmful to the environment, Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio, and Indiana. Most polluted states. Most people lacking health care, Florida, Georgia, Alaska, Oklahoma, and Texas. So now, it's funny when you see these states, and if you looked at the map and the states that Trump carried, all of these states, except for one state, are all red states. And I'm going to read this. What's interesting is that of the 16 states mentioned in these 7 categories, 15 are red states that voted for Trump in 2016. Trump can't mention their problems because he fears offending people who voted for him. Deep red hellholes in the South. Trump thinks Baltimore's a hellhole. The data shows Mississippi, a deep red state, is poorly educated and mired in poverty and crime and heavily dependent on federal aid. Of course, because Mississippi's governor, 2 senators, and 3 out of 4 congressmen are Republicans who are in the tank for him. Trump won't say a word. The good people of Mississippi deserve and should demand better. Think about that. See, Trump is not going to come out and attack the state of Kentucky, the state of West Virginia, the state of Mississippi. Why? Because there's 2 senators there that are Republicans. There's 3 congressmen that are Republicans. The Mississippi's governor is a Republican. So this is how partisan politics come into play. And this is why you can't allow the Elijah Cummings to separate you and make everything about racism. And you can't allow Trump to, his bigoted tweets get you out of focus. Because, see, again, like I said before, poverty is an American issue because the middle class is being hollowed out and the wealth is being calcified at the top. But because we as people in general, we're tribal in nature. So chances are you're going to vote for someone who looks just like you, and you're going to support someone who you feel you can resonate with. So this is why people will overwhelmingly keep voting for Mitch McConnell for Senate since 1984, even though conditions in the state of Kentucky continue to get worse. And this is why people will continue to keep voting for Elijah Cummings in Baltimore in his district. Why? Because people feel that they can resonate with him. And this is what I call politricks. Because you look at the overall condition of the people in these states and in these districts, and it's not improving. Yet they overwhelmingly keep voting for these particular people. Now, I want to get to one more slide, and then we're going to get into some video footage because it's something similar happening in certain counties in Kentucky that's happening in Flint, that's happening in Denmark, South Carolina. So now I want to get to one more slide. It says, Kentucky's improving economy, like the national economy, is lowering the poverty rate in the Commonwealth. But the bluegrass state remains amongst the poorest in the country. According to the data released Thursday by the U.S. Census Bureau, 17.2% of Kentuckians lived in poverty in 2017, an improvement over the 18.5% state poverty rate in 2016. But that rate still leaves Kentucky the 5th poorest state in the United States. I want you to think about that for a second. So when Trump is talking about Baltimore, he will not talk about Mitch McConnell, who's a majority leader. It says, but the state rate leaves Kentucky the 5th poorest state in the United States. Think about that. It says, if you are young, the numbers are worse, though also improving. 22.4% of Kentucky children lived in poverty last year. 22.4% of Kentucky children lived in poverty last year. Down from 25% in 2016. And where you live affects the likelihood that you live in poverty in Kentucky, which is similar to Baltimore, depending on the district, because all of Baltimore doesn't look like Elijah Cummings' district. Now, I want to focus on the 5th congressional district. I want to read this last point, and then we're going to get to some video footage. The 5th congressional district had by far the highest poverty rate, 29.1%. The district is annually ranked among the poorest congressional districts in the country. The district has also been devastated by the collapse of the coal mining industry, which now employs thousands fewer miners in higher paying jobs. So now notice Trump highlighted Elijah Cummings' district, but he won't highlight the 5th congressional district, which has the highest poverty rate, 29.1%. Now, I want to get into some video footage real quick. And show you something. I want to make sure everything's looking right. So now, Williamson got up on the stage, and they was in Detroit during the debates last week, and she was talking about Flint, Michigan, and how they're having a water problem in South Carolina, in Denmark, South Carolina. Now, this is in Martin County, Kentucky, and they're having similar problems. They're having similar problems with water. So when I say that these are American issues, I'm not dismissing ADOS in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm not telling you that we do not have structural problems, that we have not been through things as a people, as a collective. I'm not dismissing that. But what I'm trying to get you to understand, I'm trying to get you to be more nuanced in your thinking and understanding that Republicans and Democrats, they're just the left and right wing of the same bird. Because white people are poor and living in bad conditions just like ADOS is living. Now, I'm not telling you to go focus on them and cape for them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you to be nuanced in your thinking and don't get so caught up into, oh, yeah, our black politicians need to do better. They do. But politicians in general need to do better. And this is why it's important to weaponize your vote.
People are paying money for poison. And then they're going to be paying more for water they can't drink until they get it fixed. It's just not. I just think it's crazy.
Sludge, milky, tainted. Those probably aren't words you'd want to use to describe your water. But in Martin County, Kentucky, thousands of residents have seen water like that come from their faucets, or no water at all.
So now I want you to think about that. What did we watch similar to this when we looked at Denmark, South Carolina? Contaminated water. People paying for water that they cannot understand, that they can't figure out how they're drinking poisoned water, how the counties are allowing them to drink poisoned water. So again, I'm not trying to dismiss ADOS claim. I'm not doing that. I'm just helping you become more nuanced in the issues.
Accident contaminated the water supply nearly 20 years ago.
But poor infrastructure and little funding make it hard to fix the issue.
When I stopped using it to cook in and things like that, the digestive issues for everybody. I just thought it was a stomach bug that the girls was bringing home from school. No.
Meanwhile, many residents still have to pay for water. The county has enormous debt. Officials say charging residents is the only way to keep the issue at bay while searching for a fix. One solution has been a proposed 50% water bill increase. It could be a way to pull in much needed money to solve the problem. The U.S. Census shows just under 40% of residents in Martin County are in poverty. It's among the...
Again now, what are we seeing here? What are we highlighting again? Poor counties, poor districts. Martin County is one of the highest ranked poorest counties in Kentucky. I want you to think about that. So when Trump is highlighting Baltimore and talking about it's infested with poverty, it's infested with joblessness, and who would want to live there? Look at how the people in the state of Kentucky is living. Yet he will not highlight what's going on there. Why? Because he won that state. It's a red state. And I've seen a lot of you coming out, I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm going to vote for Trump. Well, if you vote for Trump, you're not going to get nothing. You're not getting anything. Because the people in West Virginia, the people in Kentucky, the people in Mississippi, they don't have anything. And I'm gonna get to a county that 81% of them voted for Trump, and they've gotten nothing for their vote. And this is why it's important to be nuanced in the issues so you don't get bamboozled like these people, because that's the problem with a lot of people. People are tribal by nature, so they vote for people who they feel that they can identify with, and that's part of the problem.
Poorest counties in the U.S.
Now, doesn't this look like trash? Everybody was talking about the rodents and the trash in Baltimore. Look at this trash here. This is someone's home. This is where someone lives. So everyone was talking about the poverty in Baltimore and the roaches and the rats and the crime. Look at this. This is someone's home. This is how they're living in Martin County, Kentucky. This is how people are living there. So when you hear people talking about Baltimore or talking about Detroit, talking about liberal hellholes. Don't forget those Republican hellholes. Don't forget those conservative hellholes either.
I could not believe that in America, in Appalachia, kids that were going to bed hungry every night, not eating on the weekends, I just couldn't believe my eyes. So I took action, got a group of women together.
Now you heard what she said? I can't believe in America. Thank you for the donation, Real Talk. I want you to think about that. She said, I can't believe in America there are people who are living like that. Now, Bernie Sanders said the same thing about Baltimore 2 years ago. He said the people in Baltimore, in certain parts of Baltimore, are living in third world conditions. So this is not just a Democrat issue. This is not just about, corruption amongst Democrats. This is corruption across the board, because we're about to get into Mitch McConnell's wealth and how much money he earns as a senator versus how much his net worth is today. So again, I'm not trying to dismiss ADOS's claim. We have a legitimate claim that goes back hundreds of years. But I'm just getting you to understand that poverty is an American issue. But the problem is, because a lot of these people are racist. Let's just be real about it. They'll rather vote for Trump and have their economy tank and get no improvement than vote for someone that can actually change something. So now let's get back to the slideshow real quick before we get from this, because I want to highlight something for you. I want to get back to the slideshow. So now, I want to read this. It says, rural Kentucky may not suffer from the same urban blight as Baltimore, but there are similar problems in the home state of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican from Kentucky. There are parts of your state which have significant opioid problems, meth, lack of economic opportunity, education problems. Menifee County, Bath County, Logan County. What if President Trump were to call out those counties as he did with Baltimore? This reporter asked Mitch McConnell. So you see, this reporter's putting Mitch McConnell on the spot because Trump put Elijah Cummings on the spot. And then, like I said before, all of these Brexit people, the Candace Owens, the Brandon Tatums, look at that. We got to get you off the Democrat plantation. Okay. But you're going to get me off the Democrat plantation and replace it with Mitch McConnell? Because look at the people there. I just broke the data down for you about how Kentucky's one of the least educated states, has one of the highest poverty rates, and is infested with opioid addiction and meth addiction and fentanyl addiction. And we're about to get into that in a second, because I want to show you, I want to highlight how they're treating the drug problem in white communities completely different than they treat the drug problem in black communities. But we're going to get to that later on in this video. It says, McConnell replied that those regions certainly do have challenges. He suggested that they've made a little progress with drugs, noting that overdose deaths dropped 15% last year. But McConnell sidestepped the question about what would happen if Mr. Trump were to criticize some of the regions in Kentucky beset by similar challenges to inner city Baltimore. That's usually what happens on Capitol Hill now. Democrats work themselves into a lather while Republicans mildly chide the president or duck the question altogether. So this is why be careful to quickly throw your black politician under the bus, thinking that by running to the Republican Party as if they're not the left and right wing of the same bird. And see, this is where the whole white supremacy conversation comes into play. And this is why I say you have to be nuanced. It's not saying that white supremacy does or doesn't exist. It's saying in what context does it exist. You have to be nuanced. You can't just be a black or white person. There's nuances, there's levels to this, and you have to be able to decipher it properly. Residence dependency. It says Kentucky's government is ranked 4th in dependency on federal money, but is only ranked 23rd in the share of federal jobs. Analyst Jill Gonzalez said there are some drawbacks to being so depending on federal money. So you hear these Republicans always talk about deregulation and we just got to get these jobs and pick ourselves up by the bootstrap. Yet Kentucky is heavily subsidized by the federal government. So federally, if any crisis were going to happen, it would probably affect Kentucky more than other states, she said. Gonzalez said federal funding makes up about 40% of Kentucky's revenue, the fourth highest rate in the country. However, she said Kentuckians are getting more money back from the federal government than what they put in. For every dollar a Kentuckian gives, they're actually getting $2.61 back. So that's a really good return on their federal investment, she said. So these economies are being hollowed out. They're being carved out by multinational corporations, by the deindustrialization of America. So be nuanced in these issues, right? So now, how much money does Mitch McConnell make as a senator? Right? This is an interesting thing, right? Because I want to show you how people don't go into government to help people. People go into government to get rich. As Republican leader of the Senate, McConnell earns an even higher salary, $193,400 is what he earns. That's how much money he earns. So let's just round it and say he earns $200,000 is what he earns. Interesting, right? We don't even have to read the rest of this because we're going to get to something important. Right here, Mitch McConnell's average wealth is $22.8 million. How do you have a job as a senator that's roughly paying you $194,000 and you have a net worth of $22.8 million? So reading this is important because this speaks to corruption in politics, which is why I'm an independent. I don't pick a party. I vote my interests because I understand left wing and right wing are the same bird. It says lawmakers are required to file personal financial disclosure forms listing their assets within broad ranges, such as $5 million to $25 million, making it difficult to get a precise sense of a lawmaker's wealth. Still, the Center for Responsive Politics ranks McConnell as the 10th richest senator with a net worth between $9.2 million and $36.5 million. Let that sink in. Let me repeat that for you one more time. It says, still, the Center for Responsive Politics ranks McConnell as the 10th richest senator, yet he oversees one of the fifth poorest state, with a net worth between $9.2 million and $36.5 million. So they say on average it's between $22.8 million, but it could be as high as $36.5. No one knows because they don't have to properly disclose it. They can give you broad ranges. Now, check this out. Oddly, however, before 2008, McConnell was well below the Senate average. In 2004, his average net worth was $3.1 million compared to a Senate average of $14.5 million. That's almost a seven-fold increase in 10 years. McConnell has quadrupled his net worth since 2007, when it was $7.8 million. Think about that for a second. I want to let that sink in, that this man is a senator of the fifth poorest state, but he is the 10th richest senator. Now I want to get to another video for you. I want to put on another video for you. And guys, hit that like button. Hit that like button. It helps the content rank in the search engines, guys. Thank you so much. Hit that like button. And I want to put on a video for you.
Got a tractor trailer semi mounted.
Okay, anywhere from 0 to 6 months.
The county is considered first or second poorest county in the United States of America, which we're not proud of. But we have great people here. We have people who try. We have people who really work hard to keep themselves above water because there's no jobs.
Look at this, Sarah, you missed something.
I've had families say they cut my food stamps $200. That's hard. They're used to being able to buy more. Now they're having to shop wiser. And they're learning to do that. Now our senior citizens are affected more than anybody, and our children. They are the ones that's suffering.
I want you to look at this. Look how these people are living. Look at the conditions they're working in. So this is not just a Baltimore, Detroit, a Flint, Michigan, a Denmark, South Carolina thing. This is an American thing. This is an American phenomenon that's happening. Poverty in high levels.
I mean, it's tough. I don't have a job right now, but I'm one of the lucky ones because I got into a program where I can work for a place like this and I can help out, and I got a lot of help in return. I couldn't afford to get very much meat. I mean, we making do with what we have, but my daughter's getting sick of hot dogs. She's like, Mom, can't we have something else?
So basically, and Yvette spoke about this before about poverty and how, black people have to go and shop at these dollar stores and buy food with a lot of high fructose corn syrup. As the lady just said, they're forced to have to eat hot dogs and beans. So yes, ADOS, we are struggling as a collective. But there's a lot of these little poor counties that are struggling as well.
We had a mother come in here and thank us for doing the food backpack program, because when her child got her food backpack, she carried it around all weekend with her. And she said, "It's my food, Mommy. It's mine."
You've already went through this stuff. Yeah, that's the
Again, guys, hit that like button for those of you coming in. So I want to get back to a few more slides, because the next thing we want to focus on is the opioids crisis that's happening in this state. Because, again, wherever you find high levels of poverty, you're going to find, in most cases, high levels of crime and high levels of drug abuse. That's just the reality. Now, Asians are the exception to the rule. People try to debate whether it's a cultural thing. That's not the purpose of this video. It says the third poorest district in the country, for example, is Kentucky's 5th, Eastern Kentucky, coal country, Bloody Harlan, and all that. In the 97% white district, the poverty rate is 29%. So Baltimore's predominantly black, right? But here, the 5th district is predominantly white. The opioid crisis rages away there. Kentucky has 28 opioid deaths per 100,000 people. 28 opioid deaths per 100,000 people, which is twice the national average. And it's somewhat worse in the eastern part of the state, which is the poorest region. The unemployment rate is 8.4%, nearly double the national average. The median household income is $31,731, about half the national figure. There is, however, one solitary bright spot. About 94% of the people have health insurance. More than half of those with health insurance have public coverage. Some of that is Medicare, but the rest, shall I tell you who gave them coverage? I think you know. Barack Obama, along with former Democratic Governor Steve Beshear, who did one of the best jobs of any governor in the country of turning the Affordable Care Act into a reality in his state. So here you have people who really didn't even have adequate health insurance, who resisted Barack Obama, who doesn't want socialism, yet I just showed you for every dollar that they put into the federal government, they're getting out $2.61. They weren't even properly having health insurance until Obama passed the Affordable Care Act. Yet now Trump is saying, we got to repeal that. We got to take that away. And these people are supporting something that's going to actually end up hurting them. They're willing to support a policy that is going to disproportionately impact them and hurt them. Because again, a lot of people they're not nuanced in their thinking because people are tribal. So when Trump feeds his base that red meat and he talks about Elijah Cummings, they're like, yeah, Baltimore's poor. Yet they're living in a shack and they're poor. You know? Hold on. Yeah, I finished that. Now look at this. It says congressional districts with the highest opioid prescription rates in 2016. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this for a second. Really think. Congressional districts with highest opioid prescription rates. You have Alabama, Congressional District 4. Number 2 is Kentucky, the 5th District. Tennessee, the 3rd District. Tennessee, the 1st District. Alabama, the 1st District. Mississippi, the 4th District. Arkansas, the 1st District. Virginia, the 9th District. Tennessee, the 6th District. And Oklahoma, the 1st District. So they're prescribing these people opioids. They're overdosing on opioids. And now we're going to get into how the media is covering the opioid problem. The coverage, the titles of the headlines. They're trying to humanize opioid addiction. But I want you to think about the crack epidemic and how Hillary Clinton was referring to people as super predators. Yet they're trying to humanize these people because, let's just be real, they're white. These are red states you see here. Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas. Virginia was a blue state when Trump ran. All these other states are red states. Makes you think, right? Make things that make you think. So I want to get to another video talking about the opioid problem.
Kentucky is at the epicenter of the opiate use disorder crisis, and the number of individual Kentuckians dying and overdosing every day is staggering. So for a state with a population of 4.4 million, we're losing 1,400 people a year, which is about 4 a day. And the complexity of the issue is how do we address it, and where do we begin to make a difference? And the struggle has...
I want to repeat that for you. 4 people a day. 4 people a day die from opioid addiction. I want to repeat that for you. 4 people a day. I want to repeat that. I want to replay that.
Dosing every day is... Kentucky is at the epicenter of the opiate use disorder crisis, and the number of individual Kentuckians dying and overdosing every day is staggering. So for a state with a population of 4.4 million, we're losing 1,400 people a year, which is about 4 a day. And the complexity of the issue is how do we address it, and where do we begin to make a difference? And the struggle has been is it overlaps so many different agencies and entities. So the challenge is that how do we get all of these individuals around a shared set of information, and how do we align our resources so that we're working, and how do we know when we're making a difference in each of those individual areas? And so it's been very gratifying for me, sort of toiling away in the behavioral health world. The aha moment for me is when this became a healthcare issue, and it's the data that drove that understanding, I think.
Now you hear he's saying it's a healthcare issue. You see how they're trying to change it and make it a healthcare issue. This is not a healthcare issue for black people, right? It became the war on drugs. But now that the people who are going through this are white, the demographic is different. Now it's a healthcare issue. It's a healthcare issue. But when the people were black, it was a war on drugs. So notice how they're throwing resources at this problem. They're humanizing the victims. They're not criminalizing them. So you gotta be able to put your thinking caps on. So they want to highlight Elijah Cummings' district in Baltimore. That's great. That's a fair critique. They want to make you think that all black politicians are bad. No, most politicians are bad. Most politicians are liars. And the reason why they're able to lie to you, because people do not know how to organize and weaponize their votes. And this is why I said before, I don't believe ADOS is going to get us reparations. I don't believe that that's going to be the outcome of this. I believe the outcome is going to get black people on code as far as politics and focusing on policy and focusing on agenda-driven policy and stop allowing these politicians to pimp you for your votes. Because, see, Trump is playing a game where he feeds his base red meat, but they're not looking at their living conditions. They're falling behind. They're falling far behind. So, again, this is why it's important for you to make sure that you are nuanced in the issues. Again, I'm not dismissing ADOS, right? We're at the bottom of the bottom. I totally get that. But poverty is an American issue right now. The middle class is being hollowed out, which is why it behooves me. I don't understand why people are so divided, because this is poverty is affecting everyone. Literally, it's affecting everyone. And this is why it's so important, the urgency for ADOS to get it together. I don't care if what you consider yourself as. We have to start thinking as a collective, because if they're struggling in many of these red states, what do you think our future is going to be? You got to really think about that type of stuff.
Mike Will is chasing a drugs epidemic across Kentucky.
Right now we're being sent on a male who has overdosed.
In Louisville, in January alone, there were 695 overdose cases. That's a 33% rise from last year, many from heroin and prescription drugs. Mike fears this could be another. We hear him working inside.
Okay. Any problems ventilating?
No. He's got nose.
His color's come back a little bit, isn't it?
See, is there paraphernalia in here?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a race against time, and it's a coordinated response.
Thank you for the donation, Lion Rowe Dunham.
Inside there are police, the fire brigade and paramedics, and they're trying to resuscitate the man.
Minutes later, progress.
So he's breathing on his own. Okay, he's still, it's kind of a term that we use, he's still snowed, and that's kind of how we want to keep him. And when they get him in the back of the truck, you know, they're going to give him more and wake him up even more.
Suddenly he appears on a stretcher, his face drawn and pale. It's mid-afternoon by a busy road.
I come from a small town in South Jersey.
In Washington, Donald Trump is listening, unveiling a new task force to tackle the deadliest drugs crisis in U.S. history.
Drug overdoses are now the leading cause of accidental death in our country, and opioid overdose deaths have nearly quadrupled since 1999. This is a total epidemic.
Give me 1 second, family. Let me just get rid of somebody real quick. Don't need that foolishness over here. Hide as usual. Need to get rid of that fool. We're not doing that over here. You could keep that over there with Tariq Nasheed.
It's playing out in car parks and affluent suburbs.
They're getting dirty needles from her. They're taking pills, passing out in the bathroom.
Did you hear what she said? It's playing out in affluent neighborhoods, in affluent communities. This is why you're seeing resources being dedicated to the quote-unquote opioids crisis. I want you to think about that for a second. I want you to think for really internalize that and start to process this, that because the demographic of people is different, they're willing to give resources to this problem. Now, what's happening in Baltimore? Because a lot of you were trying to blame Elijah Cummings for Baltimore. Understand, as a congressman, your job is to get government money and funnel it back and bring it back to your district. So Elijah Cummings is doing his job on that part. He's getting the funds and the resources. The problem is that there's so much corruption with local politics, with the city council, with the mayors who misappropriate these funds. And the same thing is happening in parts of Kentucky. So when a lot of you are trying to run and say, I'm just going to vote for Trump. Again, left wing, right wing are the same bird. And because a lot of these people aren't educated properly in Kentucky, this is what happens. This is what happens time and time again. See, these people are so dumb, they don't even realize that they're living in poverty. They don't even realize that they're struggling because people are tribal. And this is why it's so hard to re-educate people. And this is why the elites, they play on that. They play on your ignorance, because now Trump tweets that out. And like I said before, you got the Brandon Tatums and the Candace Owens saying, look, let's get you off the plantation. But I'm looking at the Kentucky plantation and I'm saying it's not that much better than Baltimore. Things that make you want to think.
Anywhere where you can get high and where you feel safe, that's where they're going.
You were getting way overprescribed.
For Elizabeth Easton, it started 2 decades ago with OxyContin, a prescription painkiller.
I thought it was very, very safe. And I quit drinking. I quit smoking marijuana. I went right to that. I thought it was safe. My grades improved. I felt that I had improved by taking that drug. It was like, to me, it was like a miracle drug. Yeah. And it wasn't. It was synthetic heroin.
So this is our...
But at this new clinic, one drug is opening doors for addicts after detox. It's called Vivitrol.
It actually blocks opiate receptors.
It stops you feeling the high.
Yes, so you don't get the euphoria that you would from heroin or any opioids like hydrocodone, oxycodone, Schedule II drug.
It's not a silver bullet, but for Ryan and his mother, it's hope.
You know, I ask him every day, how do you feel? How do you feel? You know, I'm hoping with the intensive outpatient treatment that he's doing and that he continues the injection, that he'll get to a point where he feels he doesn't need that anymore and he'll get a job and he'll have a normal life.
The president is now working on a plan. Tens of thousands of lives could depend on it in a nation with too many pills and not enough treatment. Cordelia Lynch, Sky News, Louisville, Kentucky.
So as I've been breaking down for you over, and guys, hit that like button. It's 80 of you watching. There's only 55 likes. Again, hit the like button. It helps the content rank in the search engines. Hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell, and share this content. So as I just broke down for you, you can clearly see that Baltimore has its problems. No one is going to dismiss Baltimore has problems. But you can look at all of these other districts that these Republicans lead, and they still have the same problems as well. You got to be able to think. You got to be able to use your brain. You have to be more nuanced. And you can't just have a knee-jerk reaction because, again, the Candace Owens and the Brandon Tatums are going to tell you, man, you just got to get off that plantation. But as I said before, look at the Republican plantation. Does it look any better? Does it look like that's somewhere that you want to be? Does that look like that's somewhere that you would want to go? Right? Things that just make you think, you know, that's maybe not a place that I want to go or that I want to be. Right? Things that just make you think about that. I showed you the water. Yeah, the water in Flint, Michigan is contaminated. It's bad. The water in Denmark, South Carolina is bad. But what about Martin County, Kentucky? The water is polluted there as well. So it just makes you really take a step back and look at things for what it truly is in doing the information. So Let's answer some questions. See what the chat's talking about. We're coming up on 50 minutes. We did 50 minutes of content, 50 minutes of information. Again, I implore you to go and do your own due diligence on this information. I am not trying to dismiss ADOS's claim. I just want you to understand that a lot of these issues are not just impacting black people. These are issues that are impacting Americans as a whole. And you can be nuanced. Life is not just black and white. Like, you don't have to have this like all or nothing way of approaching things. You can be more balanced in your thinking and how you approach things. You can focus on issues that impact you, but you can also understand that there's a bigger context. There's a bigger thing that's happening here. And as I said before, I don't believe in 2020 that we're going to get reparations by any stretch of the imagination. I would be lying to you if I said that. But what I believe we're going to get is I believe that we're going to get more on code with our politics. I believe that we're going to stop falling for the okie doke. And I believe that we're going to start asking really important questions from our politicians. What are we truly getting for our vote? And I think that that's the way that you need to be approaching things. As I say all the time, I don't care if you have hot sauce in your bag. I don't care if you can dance. I don't care if you listen to Beyonce. I care about your policies and nothing more, nothing less is what I care about. I want to know what are your policies and how what you're trying to propose and pass is going to benefit me and the people who looks like me as a collective. And I think that that's the most important thing. But again, like I said before, it took me a while to put together this information because I wanted to just really start looking at a lot of these Republican districts. And as I showed you, you can look at Alabama, the state, not even just districts, but the state of Alabama, the state of Kentucky, the state of West Virginia, the state of Arkansas, the state of Mississippi. And you just constantly see these places are rampant and filled with crime, filled with poverty. And they've been voting Mitch McConnell in office since 1984. So what's the difference between Mitch McConnell and Elijah Cummings? They may hold different positions in government, but they're doing the same thing to their people. People need to also focus on local elections. They are more important than national. I agree. And the reason why local elections are important, going to Emancipation's point, is that someone like Elijah Cummings, his job is to bring resources back to his district as a congressman. And that's what he does. So now the local elections are important because the mayors in Baltimore are, stealing the money. The mayors in Baltimore are corrupt. And this is why it's important to be aware, not just in national elections, but local elections. Because I think Baltimore's went through 3 mayors in the past, 5 years? So it really makes you start to think about these things. I'm loading another video. It wasn't in the presentation for some reason. I wasn't able to get it. I'm about to load another video of I think it's called Pike County. 81% of that county voted for Trump, and they went back and visited a year ago. So I'm about to put that on in a second. But as you can see, these are things that really it makes you think. And this is why you have to be nuanced in your thinking. You cannot be one of these people who you just look at, oh, you know what? Trump called out Elijah Cummings, so therefore we got to get rid of Elijah Cummings and go over to the Republicans. You have to think about it. Because Trump hasn't really done anything for the people who voted for him. Has he built that wall yet? No. He may have gave you a tax cut, but the richest corporations got billions of dollars in tax cuts. That tax cut's like meaningless. So we'll go from there. And again, guys, for those of you coming in, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. No tangibles, no vote. I agree. I totally agree. I agree 100%. But I'm not going to put that on other people, right? I feel that voting is an intimate decision that you make and only you should be making. My job is not to influence you or impact your vote. I think that you should vote your interest. We all have different interests. So I feel I will support anything that I feel can benefit black people as a collective. That's what I personally feel. As I said before, I have a different philosophy and ideology when it comes to most things, but I will support policies that benefit black people. I will support a politician that benefits black people because, see, in my opinion, black first doesn't mean support you because you're black, right? I'm like, for example, if you came to me with a business opportunity, but the opportunity sucked and I'm going to lose money, I'm not going to just give you money because you're black. I believe in seeking out black people that are qualified to get the job done and supporting people who are qualified. And I think that's the difference. A lot of us get black first confused. Black first doesn't just mean, oh, I'm going to support you because you're black. No, I'm going to support things that I feel can benefit black people. And that's what attracted me to ADOS, is that what Yvette is doing is she's educating you on politics. And I think that that's extremely necessary. So I will always support ADOS as long as it's coming from that perspective of trying to enlighten you and get you on code with politics. And I will support policies that I feel can benefit black people as a collective. Although, like, look at someone like Byron Allen. If I'm not mistaken, he's a billionaire, right? But he supports the idea of helping close the racial wealth gap, right? So when you listen to Byron Allen, he's probably going to have to pay more taxes. If reparations got passed today, his taxes would go up, but he understands the need for benefiting the collective. And that's the most important thing, is supporting policies and information and people that are really trying to benefit the collective. And that's why when I said the other day, when I was talking about who you donate to and what you donate to, at a certain point, when a person's been preaching about something for 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, you have to begin to ask yourself, what are they doing to change that besides just talking about it? See, we got to go from the point, and this is why I'm willing to give ADOS another year or two to really see what they can build upon with this momentum, because at a certain point, you have to get from behind the computer screen and get out into the real world and start building organizations and grassroots efforts to really go out here and really start to make a change. Because you can go into your average barbershop, your beauty salon. Most people have no idea who ADOS is. Seriously. Go into your community and ask somebody, do you know who Yvette Carnell is? Do you know who Antonio Moore is? Most people are going to say, I don't know who the hell that is. Right? So this is where the grassroots effort comes into play, where, okay, you have to get off the internet, because understand there's only a small segment of black people on the internet, on YouTube. So you have to go and engage people in other mediums as far as just YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. You got to be able to go to your churches, your community centers, your picnics, get-togethers. Go inform your local politicians about what ADOS is trying to do, because a lot of people just have no clue about ADOS outside of the internet. And I wasn't trying to attack Yvette by saying like, oh, she's robbing people. That wasn't what I was trying to say. I was just saying that at a certain point, you're woke now, right? You got the information, you're woke. So now what are you going to do in the real world to take this information from YouTube and put it in the face of people who don't know about this? Because newsflash, the boomer population is not on the YouTube like that. Baby boomers are not on. My dad is not on YouTube right now. My mom is not on YouTube, but they're eligible to vote, right? So we got to get these issues in front of them too, so that they can go out here and be informed about the issues and the topics as well, And that's what you got to do. I'm pretty sure your aunts and uncles and your grandmothers, they don't know about ADOS and what ADOS is trying to accomplish. Most of these people, they probably still watching Channel 7 News and Channel 5 News. They get their talking point and information from that standpoint. So it's important to put that information in front of people. Absolutely, no tangibles. People also need to focus on local elections. The elites want to keep the population in an emotional state. The presence of emotion is the absence of intellect. The elite are smart, but the general population is lazy. I agree 100%. Maddox first to the T. Problem is, a lot of people are lazy and they're not willing to do the due diligence and do the research on the information. I totally agree with you. Somebody actually, I still haven't seen it yet. Man, that wall is not being built. And if you believe that wall is going to be built, I got a bridge to sell you too. What are my thoughts on Hidden Colors? I'm not going to support it because Brother Polite's in it. I would have went to see it just to, for some entertainment because a black person is involved in it. But at a certain point, it's like, guys, how much history do you need to know? Seriously, at a certain point, and again, I'm not here to knock anyone's money or anyone's hustle. So I'm not telling you not to donate to it. I'm not telling you not to support it, because I know a lot of you, If a person critiques something, you automatically think it's hating because a lot of you are not nuanced. What I'm saying from my perspective, at a certain point, you have enough information. Right? Like at a certain point, you have enough information. You gotta then take the information and do something with it. Like I watched all these documentaries about history. Is it gonna change my life in any way? You know, like that's how I felt about like these debates and, you know, talking about ancient Kemet and talking about the Haitian Revolution. And I mean, it's like, for me personally, at a certain point, I just don't care. Like I've heard this enough. I want to change. I'm a solutions-based person. Like I'm a builder. I've always been a builder my entire life. Like once you give me information, I'm taking the information and going to do something like that. Do something with it. Like I'm not going to sit around here and just keep watching live streams all day long. I'm going to go out here in the real world and start doing some stuff and trying to make things happen. I've always been a builder and I believe in that, like going into the real world and doing things, because most people are not coming on YouTube to be educated and informed. So you got to go meet people where they're at. The idea is to take the info from Yvette and tell your father, aunts, and other family members. Agreed. Agreed. So again, like I said before, it's nothing wrong with supporting Hidden Colors. If you want to support Hidden Colors and that's what you into, it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that at all. And I have one more thing I want to show. I just finished exporting it. It took a while to export it. Give me 1 second. Let me put this on. Put this in my drive. And we can watch this last thing, and that'll wrap up the stream for the day. Nah, I would never run for politics because I have a Real Talk. Oh, I made some good money. I've been making some good money trading in Real Talk. The market's been going down massively because of this trade war. And China basically repegged their yuan. So they changed the currency exchange rate. So trading's been going beautiful. Business is booming. I believe the market's going to continue to fall, probably another 5%. Hold on, this is not financial advice. I don't want anyone to make any investment decisions based upon what I'm saying. I'm just sharing with you what I think. The market's going to continue to fall. And this is why the Fed cut interest rates a few days last week, matter of fact. Was it 2 weeks ago the Fed cut rates? To basically combat what's going to happen with China. Because we've been building up China's economy for the past decade, and now China's trying to come and be a world power. That's just how power, wealth, and influence works. I have one more thing to show you guys. So let's pull that up. I have one more thing to show you guys.
Welcome back to Beattyville, Kentucky. President Trump won 81% of the vote in this county. When we came here right after the inauguration, there was a lot of hope.
Did you hear what she just said? Trump won 80%, 81% of the vote.
People were betting that President Trump could turn things around for them here, bring back jobs and prosperity.
The day of the election. Everybody was excited. Fresh meat in the White House.
So we've come back a year later to find out if the president has lived up to their hopes. Are you getting that change you voted for yet?
I am seeing attempted change. I'm still hopeful. I mean, I don't think any of the problems that we have is going to be quick fixes.
Harold and Leandra Schaus live in Beattyville, Kentucky.
Let's skip this.
What's wrong? And she doesn't have the help. Sarah didn't vote, she says. No time because she was working 3 jobs. But she has been hoping for change, largely for her parents. Here you are watching your mom go through this, not knowing what's wrong. And she doesn't have the health care she needs.
Oh, it breaks my heart. Like, I could cry talking about it. Yeah. Like, my mom is the best person in the world. Like,
she is.
She would give anything to anybody. And she can't get the help that she needs. And it's not her fault.
And you can't help.
I can't do anything to help her.
You don't make enough to pay for that?
No.
Beattyville is a community that is struggling. According to the most recent data, more than half of the people here live below the poverty line, and a majority of the people in this county are on Medicaid.
Now, I want you to think about that for a second, about poverty, food stamps. This place is no better than Baltimore, but Trump won't call them out. I promise you, he will not speak out negative at all about these districts, because he needs these districts in these counties to win.
Beattyville has been home for you since you were born.
Home sweet home. If you want to get back to nature, Beattyville is where you want to come to.
Larry Phillips is trying to tap into that, building cabins for tourists.
We have the best geological rock climbing area pretty much in the world.
His auto shop is struggling.
It's been a steady decline. You've lost some oil. We had a lot of coal mining.
Is that part of why you voted for President Trump?
Yes, that was a lot.
This coal facility, people kept telling us, reopened after the election. It's nowhere near big enough, though, to turn this economy around. How has the president done 1 year in?
He has done or tried to do more of his promises than any other president.
He's tried, but has he succeeded?
No, he's not been able. I mean, it's been one stumbling stone right after.
Who do you blame for getting in his way?
A lot of the politicians. The way I see it, he is a normal person like myself, not a politician.
So now look at this. This is him trying to, he's getting into explain mode. He's trying to explain what's going on, why it's not working. And this is the cognitive dissonance. Now, this is the same thing black people do. And this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. The same way black people will vote for the same politicians over and over again, white people do the same exact thing. And this is why you got to get something for your vote. And you got to be willing to hold these politicians accountable. See, he's going to sit up here. He's going to make excuses for Trump. And then we're going to sit around here. We're going to make excuses for Maxine Waters. We'll make excuses for Elijah Cummings. We'll make excuses for the mayor of Baltimore. We'll make excuses for the city councilman. And then nothing gets done. All of this money is being siphoned from people and nothing is getting done. Politics is important because, as I just showed you, Mitch McConnell makes $194,000 a year, but he has a net worth of well over $22 million. Making excuses.
Don't talk like a politician.
He's a billionaire from New York City.
He's a billionaire from New York City. He's not a politician.
He is. He's the president.
And he's the president, but
he's the politician.
You know good and well he don't act like one.
What will it take for President Trump to win your vote again in 2020?
All he's got to do is run again, honey. He's done got it.
That's it?
That's it.
But that.
Did you hear what he said? All he got to do is run again. Let me replay that for you. Listen to what he said. All he got to do is run again, and he got my vote. And you know what I mean? Black people think the same way. This is partisan politics. This is what partisan politics does to people because people are tribal. Listen to what he said.
What will it take for President Trump to win your vote again in 2020?
All he's got to do is run again, honey. He's done got it.
That's it?
That's it.
But that's not it for David Coomer. After voting for President Obama twice, he cast his ballot for President Trump.
He's not the man I thought he was. Yeah. He's not. He's overbearing, and he's not getting nothing done.
He says he's accomplished more than any president.
And he has not. He talks a good talk, but can he walk the walk? But he said that he put everybody back to work.
Jobs with a living wage. That's what Coomer says would lift Beattyville up, not government assistance. For now, he relies on his father's VA benefits to get by as he takes care of his aging mother.
I'm employed right now. If I went to find work, I'd have to leave here.
Did you hear what she just said? He's relying on his dad's VA benefits. This is a grown man that has to rely on his parents' benefits to get by. This is America. This is poverty in America. This is poverty. He has to rely on his mother's VA benefits. His dad's VA benefits.
If you looked at really how much of the population that could be working but is not working, what would you say it is in this town?
At least 30%, not 35%.
That's scary.
It is. And it's that way all over these little towns.
Something else ripping at the foundation of so many communities, including this one, the drug epidemic.
The drug epidemic in our county leads back to jobs, because if there were jobs, people wouldn't feel forced to have to do bad things such as drugs.
18-year-old Cameron Brown knows all too well.
Last summer there was a bunch of drug-related murders that happened, and Cameron's dad ended up getting killed. It bothered me real bad, so I wrote a song about it.
All right, nobody want to hear that trash. We could definitely skip past that trash. Nobody want to hear that trash at all. That's pure garbage.
It was announced a big employer will reopen.
It's the private prison right down here. So yes, it means more jobs here. But it's because of the heartbreaking impact that drugs are having here and across this country.
So you hear you hear what she just said? Well, one job that's coming back is prisons, because people are poor, they don't have jobs, they abuse drugs, they get locked up, they end up in the prison industrial complex, mass incarceration. This is what happens, right? Because you're worth more being locked up, cheap labor, making stuff for IKEA, making stop signs for multinational corporations. So you're worth more by doing that.
Does President Trump get credit for the prison reopening?
Yeah. No, shouldn't.
The prospects for the future generations of Beattyville right now, what are they?
They're grim. They're grim because right now we're clinging to the past. The only way we're going to fix Eastern Kentucky is get entrepreneurship, is create jobs by people creating businesses.
And some are.
And some are.
It's time that our community is seen in a more positive light, and I think that's what my generation and the current leaders of Beattyville have decided to do.
We want to have a community that our children don't have to graduate and leave. We want them to see that you can live here.
You heard what she just said? My kids don't have to graduate and leave. Now, what's happening into Baltimore? Flight. People are fleeing Baltimore because there's no job opportunities. What's happening in certain parts of Kentucky, in Beattyville, Kentucky, in Logan, Kentucky, in Logan County, in Martin County, in Beattyville County? People are fleeing because there's no job opportunities. There's no job opportunities. People are leaving. And what did Victor Blackwell say? You know who lived in Baltimore, President Trump? I did. Keyword, did. Went to college and left. And that's what's happening in a lot of these rural areas. They're leaving. They're fleeing. That's just the reality.
And be happy and successful.
Did you think about leaving?
I have, but I love this town. This town is more than just where I grew up. Like, this town's my family.
We have to learn to support each other. We can't wait for, somebody to pull us out of a hole.
81% of the people here voted for President Trump. What has he brought to Beattyville?
Well, he brought hope. Without hope, you have nothing.
People have been optimistic because they wanted Trump to win. They've actually put in an effort. And once they seen he won, they took the initiative, and they done something. We're poverty stricken, but happiness is rich here. Yep. And if you're happy, you're rich.
Now, did you hear that stupid shit that he just said? Excuse my language. But did you hear that foolishness that he just said? Doesn't that sound a lot like Barack Obama, hope and change? I really want you to think about this. And guys, hit that like button for those of you just tuning in. I want you to think for a second. He said, if you got hope, you're rich. All you need is some hope and you're rich. Trump gave us hope, so we rich. Doesn't that sound a lot like black folks? Oh, Obama's running, man. We change we can believe in. Hope and change. And nothing changes. And this is what happens when you have millions of people in a country who just vote Republican, vote Democrat, straight up and down. This is what happens. You don't get anything accomplished. You don't get any change. Let me tell you something. You cannot eat hope. You cannot cash hope at the bank. You cannot read hope. Hope's not going to educate you and your children. Policy, agenda-driven politics is what's going to change the situation in Kentucky. It's going to change the situation in Baltimore. But see, this is the problem with a lot of us. That's why I say it's not just a black issue. It's a lot of people who are ignorant about politics on the right because people are tribal. And people get into these, I'm just voting for Trump. He said, Trump has my vote. All he got to do is run again. Trump got my vote. And yet he hasn't done nothing for that town. Nothing's improved in that town. And the same thing happens in black communities. This is why Elijah Cummings can be in office from 1996 up until now. And this is why Mitch McConnell can be in office from 84 up until now. And Mitch McConnell can come in there making $194,000 a year. And now he's worth $22 million. Yet he's the senator of the 5th poorest state in the nation. But his residents are dirt poor. And then the Affordable Care Act can give them health insurance, and they'll go vote for a person that's going to rip it apart because you're dealing with ignorance. And this is what I was saying to you before. The media plays and baits on racism. Fox News knows what they're doing. They know how to feed their base. And CNN knows how to feed their base too with black people, which is why I said before, I will support ADOS. I will support any politician that's serious about the collective of people, but I will also be honest. If you're going to follow me and my channel, I will be honest and I will be fair. I will critique. I did a video about Baltimore. I did a video about Kentucky. I made videos about Bernie Sanders. I made videos about Mitch McConnell. Right? I'm a fair person. I don't just sit here all day long and talk about black politicians. Now, I want you to go to a lot of these other Republican commentators, the Anthony Brian Logans, the Candace Owens, the Brandon Tatums, the CJ Pearsons. Do you see them making videos about Ronald Reagan's racist comments? No. Do they make videos about Kentucky being a hellhole? No. Do they talk about Arkansas poverty? Do they talk about the opioid crisis in these white communities? No. So this is why when you hear these Brexit people, you got to be careful with listening to them. Because they say a lot of things that make sense on the surface, but then the same critiques could be used against a lot of these conservatives and Republican senators, congressmen and congresswomen and mayors and governors. That's why I don't fall for politics on whether it's a black politician or a white politician. Because look at Joe Biden. He's a Democrat. Yet he worked with segregationists. Yet he helped write the 1994 crime bill. He was the vice president with Obama. He's a Democrat. So it's not just Republicans that are racist. Left wing and right wing are the same bird. But this is why you have to be nuanced in the issues. Boom, 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 boom. MLK was getting poor blacks and whites together to see the plight in their movement, see what happened. Yeah, I agree with you, Deborah Williams. I agree. And this is one of the dangerous things with information is that if you start waking up too many people, you have to worry about your life, which is why, now let's take a step back because I'm going to sound like a hypocrite right now. If you have a person that's really trying to not only educate people, but they're willing to go out here amongst the people and work with the people, you should support them financially, right? And I'm not taking no shots at nobody. But if I'm giving you money to make a bunch of documentaries, films, and live streams, and all you're doing is buying a bunch of material things from white supremacy, all you're doing is feeding the beast, why should I keep supporting you financially? And I know a lot of you going to say, oh man, you a hater. You pocket watching. You got to stop watching people's pockets. No, you got to really ask yourself a real question. If I'm giving you all of this money, I'm giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. What are you building for the people in the real world that's going to actually get some things done? If all you're doing is buying yourself nice clothes and taking nice vacations, and then why should I keep supporting you financially? Right? I don't want to be here 2 years later and just be talking about the problem. I want to look back 2 years from now and say, hey, you know what? We tried to run this political candidate here for this election, or we put together this website that can help people get certain type of assistance, right? I want to come back 2 years from now and come to you and say, hey, you people, y'all gave me $100,000 and this is what I did with it, right? I don't want to come back a year later and be on here, you donated all of this money to me and I got a nice car and I got a nice house and I'm talking to you about, yeah, I'm living large, but yet our condition as a people hasn't changed, you know? And I'm not sitting here being a hypocrite, and I'm being real. Like, I support people. I'm not saying not to support people. Support content creators, support people who are making documentaries or movies, or support people who are running for office. But at a certain point, I gotta take a step back and ask, how effective is what you're doing? right? Because if all it's doing is enriching you and benefiting you, then why am I going to keep giving it to you? I'm just not going to do that. Now, again, if I sound like a hater because I'm just dropping some truth, then fuck it. I'm a hater. Excuse my language, guys, but I'm going to be real with you. Like, at a certain point, you gotta ask critical questions. If you've been here for 5 years ranting about the same problem and you haven't put forth no effort to really change it in the real world, then but talk about what point is it? You know, that's my thing. Like, listen, you know, I'm just gonna be real with you. Like, you know, a year from now, 2 years from now, I want to come to you and say, hey, listen, this is what I tried. That's just me. Again, I'm not hating on nobody. I'm not trying to bash nobody. Support what you want to support. Do what you want with your mind. I'm just speaking from my perspective. I've always been a builder my entire life. I'm not a person to just sit around all day long and complain and complain and complain. That's why I will be at the age. I put my money where my mouth is. I'm about to send a lot of supplies down to Denmark, South Carolina. I'm going to document that. I'm using my own money to do that. Right? I'm sending some supplies that I believe in. I see a problem. Okay, let's focus on some solutions. What can I do to help the problem? Right? I'm going to send some supplies down to Denmark, South Carolina. I'll be at the ADOS conference in October. I want to know what their plans is. How can I support the movement? Whether it's with my money, whether it's with my time, with my labor. I believe in getting things done, though. I don't want to just be sitting here. I don't want to be a guy sitting here all day long making documentaries and, you know, or doing live streams, not showing my face. Right? I believe in getting with the people. I believe in getting on the ground. That's just me. I'm a builder. I believe in getting together and doing something, not just sitting here all day and lecturing. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. It doesn't matter who you vote for. Their agenda is a script. And the drunk scientist. I don't like to be. I don't want to be negative, which is why I'm not going to really say. I don't like to get into the conspiracy theory stuff. I like to kind of keep it on more the surface level, but trust me, I'm aware of a lot of the international bankers, the Rothschilds. I'm well aware of the foreign interests, the elitist interest in this. I try to keep this content clean. I don't like to get into the conspiracy side of things, but trust me, I'm well aware of that. We talk too much, really. Don't take us up on the shore and take us back. America's ADOS all day. Thanks for putting in the work in Carolina. The hope is making America great again. Yeah, but America's not going to be great again. We're a country in decline. Okay, so we'll go about 8 more minutes and we'll stop it at an hour and a half. We accomplished something to move forward. Real talks. You will the left allow churches now white supremacy and getting banned from the UK. Churches now white supremacy. Maddox first. I'm so tired of hearing people talk about white supremacy. Maddox first. You don't understand. I want to make a video about that I was going to make a video about that the other day, but I said, you know what? People not ready for that video. People will get upset if I'm so sick and tired of hearing white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. Like I'm sick of hearing it. What the hell are we going to do about it? I'm tired of hearing about white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. And all you doing is collecting money off of white supremacy. White supremacy has become the new Jesus. That's what it's become. Come in here and listen to me talk about Jesus all day long and how he going to come back one day and save you. That's why a lot of these channels, I don't tune into them because it's not productive. Like, it's just not for me. I'm sick of hearing it. Boom, 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 boom. Another feather in the cap. Thanks, Real Talk. Thanks for the support. Also, thanks for the donation, Lion Road Dunham. Real Talk, thank you for the donations. Yeah, see, the drunk scientist, what you have to understand is you have to be real careful with how you talk to people because people are emotional, right? And if you just put out all of this conspiracy content, even though you may be able to prove it, you know, because like I read this book called Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper, right? It's a powerful book. I think I have it. Is it up there? Where's my Behold the Pale Horse book at? Oh, damn, I don't know what's at. I read this book called Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. And Then I read a book by David Icke with the Anunnaki, and that book really it messed with my mind. Like I got paranoid and scared for a good like 2 months. I was probably like 20 years old when I read that book. That's some heavy stuff. Like when you start getting into that, occult stuff, and you start getting into all of the, that information, it could be scary. So you have to be very careful with how you put that information out there to people, because some people may not be willing to hear that. And back then, that's when I used to smoke some weed and stuff. So I used to read these books, these conspiracy books and stuff, and it can get heavy, man. It can get heavy. It can get heavy. So that's why I try to stay away from the conspiracy stuff, because you never know where somebody's at spiritually, mentally, and physically. So, that's why I try to, but trust me, I'm well aware of, I've read The More Money Than God. I read all of those books, so trust me when I tell you, I'm well read on that conspiracy stuff. I spent 3 years of my life going down that rabbit hole. So, and it can get very, very scary, because you start seeing this stuff all over. You start seeing the signs. And so I stay away from that type of stuff. I don't want to get to that. The real solution isn't happening, and it has nothing to do with talking. I agree with you, John Hill. But again, that's another conversation for another day. Just know that I'm getting myself prepared. I have land. I go to the range. I am networking with people, preppers. So I trust me when I tell you, I'm not one of these people who I'm just sitting here on YouTube all day talking. I'm just not. I have a lot of free time, so I enjoy doing these live streams. It keeps me busy and also keeps me out of trouble. Doing this right here, putting this together, took me 2 days. So that was 2 days that kept my time occupied and kept me from being out here wasting time, money, and energy. You're not going to see me driving a Rolls Royce. You're not going to see me traveling with the people's money to Ghana and playing drums, right? You're not going to see me taking people's school money and doing stuff like that. I believe in building. Trust me when I tell you, like I'm a different breed. But I realize that it's hard to work with certain groups of people. And I'm just going to leave it that way. That's why I'm more of a loner, and I just get things done on my own. I think that's the best way to do things. But being prepared is important. It's very, very important, because we're due for a collapse very soon. So getting your house in order is important. But I'm still going to support positive things. I'm not going to be one of these doomsday guys. And I've got 3 more minutes. Sakim Mahada said, "Behold, the Pale Horse changed my life." Yeah, powerful book. Tough information to swallow, but good book. And look what happened to William Cooper. They killed him. William Cooper got assassinated. Things that make you think. The focus keep us stagnated. Boom, 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 boom. Napture advice said, "Yep." All right, so we got 2 more minutes to go. No, I haven't read that book, Republic of Plato's Allegory. I haven't read that book. I read Currency Wars. I read so many books. I believe Currency Wars is going to. We're watching Currency Wars play out right now with the Chinese yuan. They took the peg from 7 to 1, so we're watching that happen. So, I'm not taking shots. I'm just stating the fact. I'm not taking the people's money and traveling with it. I believe in building. I don't believe in sitting around here all day long giving lectures and selling DVDs. Selling the DVDs, not doing nothing for no one. And I stand on that. That's not hating. That's not taking shots. That's stating a fact. Because guess what? When David Pantaleo put you in that chokehold, that DVD is not going to do a goddamn thing for you. I promise you that. That DVD, let me tell you what's going to happen to most people who watch that DVD. They're going to order that DVD. They're going to smoke a blunt. They're going to watch it. They're going to get woke. They're going to tweet Black Power. They're going to Instagram Black Power and go right back to living their mediocre lives. Most people not doing nothing with that information. Tamir Rice can't use no DVD or no lecture. Trayvon Martin couldn't use no DVD and no lecture. I promise you that. You know what Trayvon Martin can use? A gun. Self-defense. being aware of surroundings, getting some resources, getting prepared. That's what's going to help you. Sitting around talking about the problem all day long is not going to make you any more prepared. I promise you that. And joining some goofy ass nation and wearing a bow tie is not going to get you prepared either. I promise you that. You'll be going down to that mosque all day long talking about white supremacy, like Negroes been doing for the past 30 years. I said it yesterday. How many leaders do you need to keep telling you the same thing? How many leaders you need to keep telling you the same thing over and over again for the past 100 years? Come on, at a certain point, you got to get active. Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate it. Food shortages are coming. Got to get prepared. But see, this is why. That's part of getting on code. Part of getting on code is understanding. Like, for example, the wealth gap. I cut back tremendously on my spending on a lot of things. Like, I used to like to go out a lot on the weekends and party, right? So I said to myself, I'm going to stop partying as much as I do. I'm going to cut my partying down to twice a month. And I'm going to take all of that money that I've been blowing on partying and BSing, and I'm going to start putting that money towards getting prepared. Because it doesn't cost a lot of money to get prepared. It doesn't really. Start networking and getting into some Facebook groups and getting into some groups with some people. Now, could there be agents in those groups? Absolutely. But you prepared. Excuse me. I'm prepared for any and everything. You know, like I said before, I'm not, listen, guys, sitting around talking is useless. It's useless, right? Because everybody's doing it. How many YouTubers on here is talking about white supremacy? I can name for you right now 20 YouTubers that's on here talking about white supremacy. How many people do you need talking about the same issue? I can name 20 people right now that's talking about white supremacy right now. Ask me. I can name for you 20 people. I could probably name 30 people that's sitting here talking about, I can name 30 people that makes a living off of talking about white supremacy, but I can't name 30 people that built anything to combat white supremacy. Let me say that again for you. I can name for you 30 people off the top of my head that makes money, makes a living off of talking about white supremacy, but I can't name 30 people that built anything to combat white supremacy. I'll say it again. I can name 30 people that make a living off of talking about white supremacy, but I cannot name 30 people that has built anything to combat white supremacy. And see, when you say this, you a hater, you a coon, you a Sambo. No, it's saying to you, wake up. And then you know what they say? Oh, well, why don't you build something? How am I going to? You're not donating no money to me. Nobody gave me $1 million to build a school. Nobody not giving me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because I promise you, give me $100,000, I'm going to build something. I'm going to build something. I believe in building something. I don't believe in sitting around all day long talking about problems. That's useless. Why would we sit here, we talk about it all day long? I want to build something. I want to build. I'm a builder. Give me $100,000, we're going to build something. Give me $1 million, we're going to build something. Something that's going to be effective, something that we can go and see, something that we can go and touch. I live in a 5 cents reality. Give me $1 million, we're going to be able to go see something and touch something. I'm not going to come to you. You ain't going to see me playing with some drums with your money. I'm not going to be in no Chinese, Japanese bathhouses with your money. I'm going to go to Japan and spend money with Japanese people and then preach to you about white supremacy while I'm spending money with white people. I want you to see, but you gotta really use your brain and start asking that question. I'm gonna sit up here and talk to you about white supremacy while I'm spending my money with white people. But I'm gonna sit up here and tell you that we gotta get on code and fight white supremacy, but I'm sitting there and I'm giving my money to white supremacy. You know, but again, the Negro mind is a weird place to be, man. You know, it's a weird place to be. Like it's weird to me. You know, you in Japan in a bathhouse, but you're talking about white supremacy. Shit don't make no sense. Just don't. And I'm not taking shots. That's a fact. That's a fact. You talking about combating white supremacy, but you making white supremacy rich. Come on. All right, we'll go 6 more. We'll go to 140. You know, like, shit just crazy. And I'm not here taking no shots at nobody. Listen, support what you want to support. If you go back to my first video that I made about Nature Boy, or you go back to the videos I made about Umar, Hassan, any one of these people, listen, donate to what you want. Support what you want. It's your money. You work for it. Give it to whoever you want to give it to. I am not here to talk about any of those things. Support what you want. Give your money to what you want. What I'm here to say to you is that when you engage me with a conversation, talk to me about what's being built. See, I'm not one of these Negroes that you can come and, yeah, we talking about black power, man. We fighting the man. Like, listen, I was born a revolutionary. I keep trying to tell you that I was born in the Nation of Islam. I was named after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. My father was a fruit of Islam. My father was in the FOI. You're not talking to somebody who's a Johnny come lately to the 5% of the nation. Listen, I was born into that bullshit. And I watched my parents and I watched my uncles and my aunts talk about the revolution, put their fist up, and here we are now 30 motherfucking years later, excuse my language, and nothing's changed. Nothing for black people as a collective has changed. 30 years later. So you can't come talking that black power to me. I've been hearing about black power since I was a kid. I was born into it. I was named after Elijah Muhammad. I was going down to the mosque on 125th Street, back when they had one of the biggest mosques in the nation. So you can't come talk that revolutionary talk to me. I've been hearing that since I was a kid. And then you go and ask a very simple question. Okay, when's the revolution going to get started? Quiet. When we gonna build? Let's build something. All right, let's build something. All right, you got 10,000, I got 5,000, you got 3,000. Let's build something. You know what happened when you start talking like that? Oh, who gonna own it? Who gonna run it? Who gonna control it? Whose name is gonna be in? Who's gonna do this? Right now Negroes want to start debating. Look at Black YouTube. Look at the Black manosphere. You got a group of black men well over the age of 40 and can't get along. But these are people that you want me to sit up here and think that these people gonna lead me to the promised land. Come on, man. Like I said before, I don't want to be negative though. Let me stop. I don't want to go. I don't want to be. Because you got me going on a rant. I don't want to be like that. Listen, man. Like I said before, that revolutionary. I gave up on that revolutionary talk a long time ago. And that's why I focus on individual solutions, getting prepared, putting together information like this. Because see, doing this keeps my mind sharp. This is why I make videos like this. Number one, it keeps my mind sharp. Number two, it keeps me occupied. I don't lose focus because see, sometimes when you have money and you live in a place like New York City, you can lose focus because there's just so much to do, so many places to go do stuff, see stuff. So by me being here, it keeps me focused on politics, on information. I like the ADOS stuff. I really believe that the ADOS stuff is beneficial to us as a collective. So I will support that, but I don't want to be negative. This is why sometimes I bite my tongue because there's a lot of things that I want to say, but I understand that it's not productive to say those things because a lot of people are not really ready to hear those things. And, sometimes you just got to bite your tongue. People made videos that helps people get out of the alt-right rabbit hole. Yes, Golden Warrior. I'm a huge fan of David Pac-Man and Secular Talk. And damn, somebody put up it was a woman. I forgot her name. Oh, man, she broke down how the elites are dividing us. Damn, what was this lady's name? Oh, man, she made a really, really good video. I forgot her name, and she broke down how the elites are using racism to divide us. Damn, I can't think of, I forgot her name. She did a good video on that. Somebody posted it in the chat the other day. I just can't think of her name. Damn. Oh, I hate when that happens to me. She did a good thing. But I like David Pac-Man. I like Secular Talk. Again, guys, I'm a balanced person. Another good person to look at is Tree of Logic. She's a black conservative, but but she's not like a Brandon Tatum or a Candace Owens. She's more balanced. She calls out Trump on his BS. She calls out Brandon and him on her BS. You know, she's not like these, you know, Blexit people. Yeah, Kim Iverson, Golden Warrior. That's her name, Kim Iverson. Kim Iverson did a beautiful video on how, just what I just did about race and how people are playing on race to manipulate you. She did a beautiful, beautiful video. Go check that out. Let me see if I can even pull it up for you guys right now and put it in the chat. She did a good video. Let me just pull this up real quick. YouTube, right. There we go. Kim Iverson. Let's see if I could find that video. She did a beautiful video on race and racism. Here we go. Boom. Let me share that for y'all guys real quick. This is a really good video. Copy. And let's paste it in the chat. Paste. And she did a beautiful, beautiful video on that. Mad bus driver here. They're using politics. She looks alright. No, she got some good information, man. She, like, again, I'm not a partisan person. I'm an independent when it comes to party. So I look at both sides of the aisle. I'm a balanced person because I understand being extra emotional is the worst thing to be. It's just the worst. It's the worst because it gets you, it takes away your ability to use logic and reason. And again, guys, hit that like button for those of you who are just tuning in. And look, I said I'll be done at an hour and a half. Look, I'm still here going. Answer a few more questions. Yeah, first name is Kim. They are also using of course, they're using politics to social. Politics is about social engineering. This is the last thing I'll say before I get ready to go. When you look at these debates, the sole purpose of the debate, the left wing of the Democrat Party, they are going to go as far left as they can because you have to shore up that base. David Carroll says this all the time. You have to shore up your base. So open borders, free healthcare, illegals can come in, free tuition, just promise the entire world to the entire liberal base. Trump's idea, he has to go to the white nationalists. That's Trump's base. See, whether Trump is or isn't racist isn't the argument. It's who his base is. So Trump understands I have to play to that white nationalist base. So they want to hear, we building the wall. Ain't no wall getting built. Oh, we're going to do ICE raids. What? It was like 15, 20 people got deported during the ICE raids. It was thousands of people, right? But his base wants to hear that because he resonates with them. Send her back. Lock her up. Those type of things, his base loves that. These hillbillies or pillbillies, they sitting in squalor, poor, busted and disgusted, and they here talking about Baltimore. They look at those Negroes in Baltimore. Look at those Negroes in Baltimore. Mind you, they living in Kentucky, in Logan, Kentucky, like in Martin, Kentucky, like I just showed you, and they're poor. They don't have nothing. The black man is God. Triologic could have been a buck dance. I'm just telling you what I've seen. And see, guys, again, this is where discernment comes in. I may recommend you go watch something. You have to have enough discernment to say, let me eat the meat and spit out the bones. See, this is where discernment comes into play, right? You go, you take what you can take from someone and you leave it. Like, for example, the book Behold the Pale Horse. I don't believe everything that's in the book. I take from the book what I need, and what doesn't apply to me, I leave. I go watch Hidden Colors. I'll take what I need from Hidden Colors, and then I'll leave what doesn't apply to me. You understand? Jason Black. I go listen to Jason Black. I take what I need from Jason Black and leave what I don't. It's discernment, right? Just because a person recommends something doesn't mean that you agree with a person. Like, for example, I have a book up there called Atlas Shrugged that was made by Ayn Rand. She's like the libertarian gold standard. I don't agree with everything that she says, so I take what I need from that book and then I leave the rest. See, information is meant to, you use information to see how it can benefit you, right? You don't sit around there and see, and this is what bothers me, the black man is God. This is what bothers me with what you said. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. You said regurgitate white supremacist talking points. That's not a talking point. If I quote a fact, that's not a white supremacist talking point. I'm quoting a fact. If I sit up here and I say to you that more white people are shot by police than black people, that's just me making a talking point. I mean, that's just me quoting data. That's not me using white talking points. It's what am I trying to prove with that talking point? Or with that data, I should say. That makes it a problem. What am I trying to prove? Am I trying to prove that black people should be exterminated? Am I trying to prove that black people don't count? Or am I just highlighting a data point? See, it's what a person is trying to prove. If I highlight a data point and I just highlight the data, I'm just highlighting the data. If I'm highlighting the data to put you down, if I'm highlighting the data to disparage you, if I'm highlighting the data to make you look inferior, that's a different conversation. But just highlighting a data point is highlighting a data point. And you're not going to agree with 100% of what someone says. AOC is useless in my personal opinion. You know, because here's a funny thing, right? I want to get back to this talking points thing, right? I was talking about the militarization of the police, and I said more white people are shot than black people. Just throwing out a number. Just throwing out a number. I wasn't trying to talk about the rate. We weren't talking about the population size, the proportion. Literally just throwing out a data point. Do you know how many people got upset about that? And said, oh, but you got to focus on the rate. You got to focus on the rate. Because if you scale for portion, you got to focus on the rate. Okay, so now let's play with your logic. If the rate is more important than the gross number, then what about the rate that black people kill other black people? See how you can play on words, and see how you can take a person's words who are not trying to disparage you in any way. I just quoted a number, didn't try to say anything about black people don't get justice. Just quoted a number, and people get upset. Oh, what about the rate? See, you reinforce white talking points when you allow a data point to get you emotional. Data doesn't get me emotional, like the racial wealth gap. You know how many people got mad at Yvette because she quoted the racial wealth gap? You know, people got enraged because black people, like the Boyce Watkins crowd, black people got money. They have Jordans. What you talking about? Black people got cars. It's just a data point. Why does highlighting a data point, why does it have to be a white person's talking point? Why does it have to be a white nationalist talking point? Why can't it just be a data point? What am I trying to reference when I bring up that data point? What am I trying to prove? It's after that. Context matters. Context matters. Am I trying to say that because black people commit crime higher than other people that you should be shot while you're unarmed? No, that's not what I'm saying. But because you're emotional and because I quoted a data point, you automatically now, oh, he's a white nationalist or he's using white talking points. I'm not doing that. I'm just quoting the number. This is why I say you can't be emotional. The number's a number. Now, we could debate if the number's accurate. We could debate if the FBI stats are correct. We could sit up here and say, well, you know what? That data point may be accurate based upon their statistics, but there's a lot of loopholes and missing data points. See, that should be the conversation. Is the FBI crime statistics accurate? The question should be, why is it that black people are disproportionately in the criminal justice system than other people? Is it because we're over-policed? Because I guarantee if you put a police on every corner in a white neighborhood, you'll find crime as well. See, that should be the conversation. Not whether or not, oh, you're using old white men talking points. No, that's not what we're doing here. We're quoting the data. Because how can you solve a problem if you don't even look at the data? You know? You know, and that's why I say it's so. This is why you have to kind of watch what you say to people, because, you know, it's hard to have conversation with people because they get so emotional, and you're just quoting a point. This is not about. We're not talking about white nationalism right now. We're not talking about that. So like if I quote a data point, why? Deborah Williams, some folks like to debate instead of of course, some people love to debate, or they'll take 10 seconds of what you said, and then they'll take 10 seconds from here, and then they'll go get an old video and take 10 seconds from there, and then say, see, look, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Or look, he's stupid. Or look, he's contradicting himself. No, that's not how the context matters. The context in which I'm referencing the data matters. Right? Now, if I'm David Duke and I'm talking about, white nationalism, then yes, there's a racial undertone to that. But if I'm talking about the militarization of the police and I'm quoting how more white people are killed, that has nothing to do with white nationalism or, white supremacist talking points. We're talking about police brutality being an American issue. We're not dismissing Trayvon Martin or Tamir Rice or Eric Gardner. But some people are not nuanced enough like that. You say that, oh man, you sound like a coon right now. You buck dancing. No, I'm just giving you a data point. Come on, listen. You can't come talk that Black Power stuff to me. I got an uncle that did 17 years in the feds. Got another uncle that just came home from doing 10. Got a brother doing 7. You can't come talk that prison stuff to me. I could never be a buck dancing coon. I send too much money to the prison industrial complex. So you can't come talk that foolishness to me. I've been around mass incarceration my whole life. I grew up during the crack era. I remember there was a time when almost everyone I knew was getting high. So I could never buck dance. I just understand the issues are more nuanced than just, white supremacy. We just got to get on code, man. Give me $50. We on code. No, it's more nuanced than that. It's not that simple. And I understand that life is not that simple, right? If it was that simple, we could snap our fingers today and everything would be over. It's much more complex. It's bigger forces at work than just giving me $50 and listening to me lecture, for an hour and a half. It's different than that. So, like I said before, I've been around for a long time, man. I've seen a lot of things in my lifetime. Thank you, Christ the Messiah, for the donation. Appreciate it. And again, like I said, guys, I know a lot of times when I talk, people think that I'm like talking down to them, or I'm not dismissing you. I'm not dismissing the issues. I'm just saying we could be more nuanced in our conversations. Two things can exist at the same time. Two things can exist at the same time. It's not white or black. It's a lot of layers in between, and you have to be nuanced and layered in your conversation. I believe that the media has a major role to do with that, and that's the point I was trying to highlight, is the media coverage of police shootings. Because the media loves to use us. The media loves to use our outrage to make money. And then politicians use our outrage to make money. They use our outrage to get us to vote. And that's all I was trying to say then. And people took it and ran with it, because that's just what people do. The internet is all about outrage. That's why I don't take none of these YouTube revolutionaries serious, man. They all just trying to get some AdSense dollars, man. They're not trying to build anything. More unarmed black people are killed than white people. Matter of fact, let me correct that. I think white people, they were like 15 higher for white people. But when you take minorities, if you take Hispanics and black people, the number's much higher for us. Like if you take minorities, if you lump in blacks and Hispanics, it's unarmed is way more than white people. But that wasn't the conversation. And see, that's the problem. If a person has to be that nuanced to quote a data point for you, that means you're too emotional. If I have to go that deep and get into unarmed versus armed, who was being arrested, who was fleeing versus who was resisting versus who what, if I have to go into all of that just to quote a data point, that means you're too emotional. And that means that you and I can't conversate. Because if I got to explain all of that stuff to have a conversation with you, that means it's the problem. Right? Because that same logic can be used against you if you want to talk about rape. Because then now we can sit up here and we can say, well, what about the rate at which black men kill other black men? We kill each other at a far higher rate than any other group of people. So you see how that logic can be used against you if you want to play the game with the rate? I shouldn't have to go into that. I should just be able to simply say, here's the data, keep it moving. Because we weren't talking about the injustice that we receive. We were just simply talking about police brutality being an American issue. And see, that's the problem. And then this is why you say, oh, you're using white talking points. No, you're validating white talking points because now you're saying the gross number doesn't matter, the rate matters. Well, if the rate matters, then what about the rate of abortion? What about the rate of black on black crime? What about the rate of black men killing other black men? We do it at a far higher rate than anyone else. Yes, Mexicans kill Mexicans, whites kill Mexicans, but now you're saying the rate matters. So which one matters? Does the gross number matter or does the rate matter? Or does it depend on what strokes your ego? Right? Which one? Is it about stroking your ego and making you feel comfortable? Or can we just highlight a number and keep it moving? Can we talk about the racial wealth gap without you feeling that somebody's calling you broke? Or can we just simply say, this is the data, now how can we fix it and keep it moving? Why does it always have to turn into a white supremacist talking point? Or you trying to put black people? No, I'm just quoting a number. Just highlighting the number. Keep it moving. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. But see, a lot of you Negroes like to turn stuff into a whole nother thing. Right? You want to turn it into a whole nother thing when quote a data point, keep it moving. Because we're having a deeper conversation. We're just using the number to highlight something. Boop. Definitely get rid of this person, Melanin Negus. Right? So I should be able to highlight the number and keep it moving because we're having a deeper conversation. No, we were talking about how the media uses police shootings to drive traffic to their websites and make money. That's what if we go back to the video, if you go back and you listen to the video, I was talking about the militarization of the police. And I was talking about how the media, if you only watch the media, you would never know that white people get shot. You would never know that white people get shot. But a lot of people don't know more white people get killed by the police. You would never know that white people are getting killed by the police. You would never know that white people are getting you would think that black people are the only ones getting killed by the police. Why? Because the media doesn't show it. Why? Because stoking racial tensions makes them money. That was the whole purpose of the video. I just was highlighting the number and keeping it moving. The comment section, they got into but you got to look at the rate. And then you got to talk about, we weren't talking about that. We were talking about the media pimping black people and making you get outraged so that they can make money off you is what we were talking about. We were talking about the Al Sharptons who, when Eric Gardner gets killed, they jump out there because it makes them money is what we were talking about. We weren't talking about dismissing Tamir Rice. We weren't dismissing, what happened with Ramarley Graham. Right? We weren't trying to say that what happened to Ramarley Graham wasn't right, how the police ran up in his house and then got in his house and didn't find any drugs and shot him and killed him. We weren't dismissing Nakai Gurley, who was walking down the staircase and the police shot because he got scared. Nobody's dismissing that. But if I have to explain all of that to have a conversation with you, then again, we shouldn't be conversing. Because nothing I said was dismissing those 3 individuals who were unarmed, who got shot and killed. And yeah, Michelle, a lot of the black media, they do that. A lot of the black media loves to play on, gay people got reparations. No, you need to explain it a little bit more. What's really going on? 6 people got shot in Ohio. Yeah, but there was, 50 other people that got shot throughout the whole day? But again, like I said before, a lot of people just they are emotional. That's all I was simply saying. But again, like I said before, it's hard to have conversations with people who are emotional, who they always feel like they're under attack. And it's just, you're just having a conversation. Like I said before, I may disagree with you. That doesn't mean I'm attacking you. Nobody's disagreeing with you. Nobody's trying to dismiss any of the things that are going on with people. So we coming up on 2 hours, guys. That's enough there. I'm gonna end it there. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, share this content. You can also hit the dislike button if you dislike it. Doesn't really matter. Just support the content either way. Thank you guys for tuning in. And look, we said we were gonna try to keep it at 35 to 45 minutes, and here we are. We are on 2 hours. So I'm gonna end it here. And again, guys, thank you for tuning in and thank you for supporting the content. Have a blessed and beautiful night.